Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays in the magical, mystical, wonderful, mayhem-filled world of Blade and Sorcery. A little bit of magic, a little bit of melee. You put them together, you get Blade and Sorcery. Anyway, hope you're doing well wherever you are today, whether it's day or night, or you're just wondering why there's a big fat log sitting here. Why is there a log? Anyway, Ren and Stimpy fans, there you go. So, hope you're doing great. And today we're going to talk about something it's not really a serious topic so much as it's something that we all experience, and we're going to discuss that a little bit. And it's 3 things that we all deal with pretty much all the time. Anyway, before we get started on that, let's pick our weapon here. This is, of course, survival mode here in the marketplace. We're on the Nomad version, which is the Quest 2 port. Still looks awesome. Love it. Anyway, 3 weapons come out, or I guess a log and some other things come out. You choose one, you destroy people with them, and you see what you can do in the meantime. All right, I've got my log. Okay, this is interesting. All right, another good day for murder with my big old log here. I'm waiting for my victim. Oh, dude, this is going to wreck you so hard. All right, first traditional slow motion kill of the day. Here, come on. I borrowed this from a beaver. He was building a dam. Oh, dude, you got nothing. All right, now that that's over with. I don't know. This thing is kind of sweet, but it feels kind of wrong. Hold on. Ha! Nope. Oh, got me right across the chest. I got you. And I throw you. All right, so what I wanted to talk about today is, you might see the title right there, right? Guilt, shame, and embarrassment. All right, so they are things, obviously, that everyone deals with. I know that you've dealt with all 3 of those at some point in life, maybe all the time, depending upon what's going on. So I want to talk about those real quick, and maybe, just maybe, give you a little different perspective on it. Okay? So, before we go on and stuff like this, I like to define a few things, but before we even get to that, I want to totally wreck this drama queen of the day who refused to get off camera. Ding, ding, ding. So, before we get started, I wanted to say something that I've said before in videos where I address topics that are of any kind of mental health kind of thing, okay? And that is the following. I am not a therapist. I am not licensed for any sort of psychological anything. I'm not a social worker or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything like that. Not a counselor. I have no degrees in anything related to that at all. Okay? But what I am is someone who has real problems. I'm a real person who lives real life, and so therefore, maybe we can talk about that together and kind of relate on things on a different level. We're not talking about diagnoses here. I'm not trying to tell you if you have something or don't have something, and I'm not certainly giving you any diagnosis or treatment suggestions, maybe just a little bit of advice. So, okay, now that we got that out of the way, oh, great legal gods in the sky. Give me a break on this one. Okay, so before we get started on the whole topic, I wanted to define things a little bit, okay? Because it's important. It's important to define things before we go on, so we all have a base level understanding of what we're discussing. Okay, so guilt, shame, and embarrassment. Let's start at the top. We've got guilt. Now, what? Ooh. We have guilt, okay? Guilt is the feeling that you've done something wrong, okay? It is the feeling... Ooh, Jade Kiliji. Oh, nice. Okay. It is that little voice inside your head, the conscience that you have. You've done something that is either wrong in terms of illegal or immoral or otherwise, questionable. Maybe you've hurt someone's feelings. Maybe you've lied about something, right? Something that was important. You lied about it. Maybe you have a friend who was like, I've got a birthday party coming up, and I'd really like it if you were there. It's my 30th, and it means a lot to me. And you just don't feel like going, right? So you go, no, it's... You're right there. Another drama queen of the day. Ding, 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 ding. You go in the Brad. There you go. Into the bread with you. So you decide, I don't really want to go out this weekend or whatever. So you lie to your friend and you say, no, I got something to do. I'm not feeling great, so I'm going to stay home. And then let's say you go out to a movie and you see your friend there, right? He's decided to go out to a movie with a couple of his friends for his birthday because, not enough people showed up. And so he found out that you lied about it. Well, now you're going to feel guilt about that, okay? And you probably felt guilt before you even got into that situation, right? Guilt is like in Pinocchio, right? The blue fairy gives Jiminy Cricket the power of being Pinocchio's conscience. What are we looking at here? What's going on? No sword for you, disarm. But Pinocchio has Jiminy Cricket. And Jiminy Cricket is that conscience, that little voice inside his head that says, well, I don't know if you should do that, that kind of thing. Well, that's sort of what forms the basis for guilt. Guilt is this idea that you are being self-regulating in your head. You are the one that's saying, I don't feel right about this. Right? You feel this kind of sense of almost obligation that you should do something different, right? That you should atone for it, that you should go and talk to somebody about it. All right. So guilt can be self-imposed or it can be put upon you. Okay? So we've always got that joke of the Jewish aunt or grandmother who's like, no, it's okay. You don't have to call me. I'll be just fine all here by myself, not knowing how to work the oven or anything. It's all right. That's guilt, right? That's outwardly induced guilt. That's provided by someone else. Okay? That is something that is applied by another person. Well, okay, so that's meant to make you act differently or feel different. Okay, so there's guilt. Guilt is that conscience, that voice inside your head that kind of questions things and gives you a little bit of consequence for your actions. At least you kind of tear yourself up in your head. Okay, so that's guilt. Shame. Let's talk about shame. Game of Thrones watchers. Shame, shame, shame. What is this? Another wand? Okay, whatever. So shame. What is shame? Shame is kind of an outwardly, it's normally applied from the outside. All right? It's something that you feel because you've done something that could be considered taboo or weird or something that you think people will judge you for. And we got Rubber Arm McGee. Let me free that nightmare. Wow, polygons, take me away. So shame is this thing where you've done something normally that's considered out of the ordinary, or you wouldn't want to get caught for it, right? So let's say you're cheating on your loved one, or you get caught really drunk at church or something like that, okay? And you feel shame for that. Well, you can get shamed for it by your community. Being shamed for something is the feeling that, you should feel bad. You should feel bad about what you did. You should feel guilt about that. It's the imposing of the guilt upon you. That shame that you should feel for doing something that was decidedly not with social norms, okay? So you can have shaming going on by somebody, which is, saying it's like you get caught, let's say you get caught cheating, right? But you want to work it out with your spouse, but or your partner, and they're just kind of being a little nasty about it because you know what? You deserve it, right? At that point, you deserve what's going on. But the shaming that you'll get from them or their family, it's that feeling of you did something wrong and I'm judging you for that. Ooh, little stab. I like this thing. Anyway, so that's shame. Shame is that feeling that you're being judged, okay? That you feel like you should be judging yourself for something that's... Ooh. Wow. For something that's, out of the ordinary, you got caught doing. Okay. Generally, that's what shame is. Embarrassment. Okay. Embarrassment, strangely enough, mostly starts with bodily functions or with your body in general. A lot of people are embarrassed because... Wow, did I get him on the way down? Nice. So a lot of people get embarrassed because, let's say, someone pantsed you at a party, right? At a swimming pool party, and someone like pulled your swimsuit down or something. Okay, so you get embarrassed about that. Okay, you crack a fart in an elevator or something. Okay, you get embarrassed about that. You pass a note to a pretty girl at lunchtime in school, and she reads it and turns around and says, "I would never date you, you loser," or whatever it is, right? And the whole place laughs. Not saying that ever happened to me or anything. Not bitter, no, nothing great. But, wow, bro. A little loud on the death there. So, embarrassment is usually that you've done something that is not taboo necessarily, but you would say that it's kind of normally related to bodily functions or speech. Like you say something stupid, like, okay, speech class. Immediately your heart just kind of sank, like, oh my God, speech class. Remember that? Yeah. Speech class is horrible. And let's say you're standing up there and you totally choke, right? You're like, I'm going to talk about the environment today and why we should do a better job of treating the environment. And then suddenly you realize that, like, index card 5 out of your 45 that you're reading is missing, right? And so you start trying to hold on a second, let me and you just start saying stuff off the cuff. So, like, the environment is really good and we need to take care of things like birds and raccoons and squirrels and stuff, and we should definitely and then you start getting red in your face and your ears start to burn, and you start noticing people in the classroom starting to giggle a little bit and they're snickering a little bit, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so absolutely embarrassed right now. Or you know where embarrassment comes from. Okay, embarrassment is that feeling of, oh my God, people now know, or people saw something that I did that was stupid, or that didn't make me look very good, or made me look stupid, or whatever it is. Okay. So, embarrassment. The feeling that you've done something that is it's normally about private things, right? So that's why bodily functions and your body comes into embarrassment a lot, because being embarrassed about something is someone found out something about you, right? Let's say that you like to cosplay as Sailor Moon, right, on the weekends. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but let's say you're a 65-year-old guy who works at a major executive banking organization, right? And that's your pastime on the weekends. No judgment there at all, right? If that's what you want to do, cool. You go do your thing, right? Whatever floats your boat, sinks your Titanic, gets you there, makes you feel good, right? So do your thing. But let's say that's not accepted by your peer group, okay? And let's say someone is looking at some website that has, like, funny things on it or whatever, and they notice a picture of you dressed up, or, if you're the 65-year-old guy, right, dressed up as Sailor Moon at some convention, and it's clearly you, but with, like, yellow pigtails and a white outfit with a short skirt, okay? So you would, if they suddenly were like, hey Bob, saw a picture of you doing something over the weekend, right? And they put, nice shot. they put the picture up, like, on the company's inner website, like on Slack or something, right? You're going to feel, or that guy is probably going to feel embarrassment over that, because it's something private that was aired out that normally you wouldn't want aired out, okay? So, embarrassment. The cause of it, usually because something private was revealed to people. Something secretive, something that you keep to yourself normally. Okay. So, why am I defining these 3 simple-seeming concepts? Well, let's talk about it. These 3 concepts are things that, in my opinion, don't need to exist. Okay? A lot of the times, things like guilt. Guilt is this feeling like you're beating yourself up inside your head. Okay? I feel so guilty for blank. Okay. Now, maybe I've got a What is going on here? Okay, maybe I've got a slightly different perspective on it, being someone who has sociopathy and a whole bunch of other things that sort of deaden my my compassion towards these things. Oh, totally using the pitchfork, dude. So, I don't know. Guilt is like this thing where you're beating yourself up. Oh, I feel so bad. I feel so guilty about this. Well, once you get past the point where you're like, okay, I stole $5 from Grandma to go get, I don't know, a pack of smokes or something, right? And you know that Grandma's on a fixed income and everything, right? So you feel guilty about that for a few days. If you're a halfway normal person. Maybe Grandma's a horrible lady, and she deserves it. Anyway, so let's say you stole that $5 from Grandma. She's on a fixed income. You feel bad about it, but so you go through a few days of like, oh man, I feel so bad. But is that guilt attached to feeling bad about it, right? Or is it attached to feeling like you might get caught for it, right? And you're beating yourself up in your head because you're trying to come up with what you're going to say if you get caught for it. What are you going to say if Grandma says, I was looking at my security camera that I installed because I don't trust my maid or whatever, right? And I saw you steal $5 out of my purse. Well, that's kind of the fear. And is that the motivation for your guilt, right? Is that what's making you feel partially bad about it? It's not actually feeling necessarily bad, it's worried, right? Okay. But once you get over that initial thing, let's say it's been a few days, and Grandma gets her next Social Security check. Oh, no. Let's say Grandma gets her next Social Security check. Everything's fine. Nothing noticed. It's all good. How long are you going to feel guilty about that? Right? How long are you going to feel that guilt? How long are you going to beat yourself up in your own... What? It's that farming thing, from Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. Like I'm baling hay and I accidentally throw the fork. Anyway. But how long are you going to beat yourself up in your head over something that you did however long ago, right? Now, of course, there's 2-3 days where that might be normal. But what if you're doing nothing but beating yourself up day after day about something? Now, there's a story that I'm going to tell at some point along the way. I lost a best friend, and I had a significant role in that taking place. Now, that's going to be a way more serious video that's done at some point, probably in a podcast or something. But I still feel guilt about it to this day. There's just a few things that I can't let go of, okay? Now, I'm not going into details, but, I feel guilt for what happened. Okay. Normal. Totally normal. Even for someone like me who is a diagnosed sociopath. Okay. Can I, hilt this guy? I can hit him with the hilt. Nice. Or the pommel. So, embarrassment, guilt is this thing where you just can't let go of it, right? But how long are you going to let go of it? Okay. Again, I'm building a house here with these ideas, so stick with me. Okay, so that's guilt. How long are you going to let yourself feel that? Why do you do that, right? Why are you beating yourself up over something? All right? It's just basically once you've come to terms with it, once you have understood and accepted what you've done, and you've hopefully learned from it, okay? Nice. Hopefully learned from it. Then why do you continue to torture yourself? Okay, so we're building this house. Okay, so there's guilt. Shame. Now, shame is normally imposed from outside. Okay? It's that feeling that you did something that was taboo or otherwise could be seen as weird or out of the ordinary by what would be normal society. Normal in quotations. Again, I'm going to be doing a very interesting video about what the hell is normal anyway. Bro. Anyway, so, what normal society, or at least average society, thinks is taboo, okay? So, shame, right? So, why do you feel shame? Why? Why do you feel, what is that drives you to feel ashamed about something? Normally, it's because you've done something and you've been judged publicly, or you're about to be judged publicly for it. Shame, right? Shame, shame, shame. Well, Cersei in Game of Thrones was shamed publicly for, amongst other things, sleeping with what was it? Sleeping with her brother? I don't know if that's what they actually got her on. I think it was. Anyway, so they publicly shamed her, which means they let the public ridicule and hate and put their derision upon her, vocally. They threw, poop at her and stuff like that, yelling at her. People were running out and saying, I got my wing hanging out, So, public shaming. Public shaming comes from being canceled. That's a great example, okay? Is that behavior and treatment, is that feeling that you have being ashamed about something, is that necessary? What factor, what form, what use does that produce for you feeling ashamed? Again, once you have understood, accepted, and grown from the situation, why? Wow. I'm good with that thing today. Why would you continue to feel shame for it? Okay? Again, we're building a house here. Stick with me. Okay. So, let's go to embarrassment. Embarrassment is kind of a boundaries thing, right? It's a personal boundary thing. So there are people that will have no problem at all whipping it out and taking a pee right there in front of a whole bunch of people. They'll have no problem if you're going skinny dipping. They'll whip off their clothes and go running into the lake. Whee! Right? They're the ones that will say rude and odd things to people at like parties and stuff. Oh, okay, that's a tonfa. No, it's not tonfa. It's a screama stick. Okay, interesting. We'll use this instead. The Iberian dagger. Nice, very nice, very nice. So, people. I know people that'll if they see a cute person at a bar or anywhere really in the grocery store, they're the people that have no shame walking up and say, I think you're really hot. You want to go out? Or something way cruder. Like, hey, nice boobs. You want to go on a date or something like that? Hey, I notice your bulge is pretty big. Let's go get some beers or something. People that are like that in your life. I know you do, okay? So, what makes that person different from you when it comes to feeling embarrassed, right? Yeah! What is the difference between someone who has a very, very high threshold for being embarrassed and you? What is that difference? Well, I think, once again, it's in your head, okay? It's something that you're saying to yourself, oh my God, right? I'm so embarrassed because my fly was down all day long or something. Or I had a booger hanging off of my nose. Or, I had some dandruff that no one told me about. Oh my God, I feel so embarrassed about that. Again, why? Show me one person that hasn't had a booger hanging out of their nose at some point. Show me one person that hasn't had their fly open for a good portion of their day. Show me someone who hasn't had something that they would count as absolutely just mortifyingly embarrassing, right? Show me one person that hasn't felt that same exact thing that you feel when it happens to you. Now, my point is behind that is that we all do it, but it's something, again, that is self-imposed. We say, oh boy, the thing that I did I think is very embarrassing, and maybe my friends do too, okay? Well, a lot of the times, your friends are going to be cool with it. There was always a saying that, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter, right? Sometimes with embarrassing moments, you get to learn about who your real friends are. Sometimes you get to learn a little bit more about yourself. And sometimes, just sometimes, let's say it's something like, the skinny dipping thing. You want to look like you're with the crowd, you want to look cool and everything, and you just decide to do it, right? I did this in Guatemala years ago. It was, we were going to go swimming, and it was a group of a group of students, right? College students. And it was like, hey, we're going to go skinny dipping. And I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to do this, right? The water's cold, first of all. So, hey guys, you know what I'm talking about here. You know where I'm getting at. So like water cold, people are attractive and I don't want to look silly. But once I did it, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna whip off these clothes and I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna forget about it. And once I got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm just doing this, right? It got to the point where I got less embarrassed. Was I completely vindicated of all embarrassment? No. It's not like I got out of the water and like stood in front of everybody and went right or anything like that. No. But it helped alleviate it a little bit because I went through that embarrassing situation and I realized, boy, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? So, embarrassment. Something that you feel because because something happened to you that, most people don't get to see. Or most people, you would consider it like a bodily function or whatever. But again, it is you inside your head beating yourself up for something. All right, so we're just about there. We're about to build a house. Now, here we go. What is the whole point of what I'm talking about? The whole point of what I'm talking about is, are these three concepts really necessary in society? Are they still things that are driving factors for limiting or changing behavior in terms of a paradigm? A paradigm is like a certain mindset that is encompassing society at the time. So for us, we're in a technological paradigm amongst other things, which means that, technology is just integrated into our lives. Now, at some point, probably very soon, for example, we'll be in an AI paradigm where artificial intelligence is the guiding factor and everything. Anyway. So, does our society still get shaped by those three things, by guilt, shame, and embarrassment? Well, there's an entire marketing concept, especially for content creators, and especially for people on Twitch. I'm not going to mention any names, because I don't do that stuff. But some of the some of the people who make content, they have this thing, shameless, right? I'm embracing the idea of shame, of things that people would normally think are shameful, right? And it's sometimes like adult material. Okay, I have a video where I talk about OnlyFans, where, it seems like everybody has an OnlyFans page now. And is that because the level of what people feel shame for has gone down? Is it because society has gotten to the point where waggy, where we're accepting more and more? Have our boundaries for what is taboo and what is acceptable, have they spread out? Have they changed? Okay, so is shame really a driving factor anymore? Now, if we look at something like Victorian times, come here, body slam. Like in Victorian times, you show ankle and people are like, oh, you harlot, right? Oh, it's my Scottish bastard sword. Come here. Oh, my broadsword. I love it. It's great. Anyway, so the shame thing, do we really need to have shame? He thinks that we do not. But is shame really something that guides our daily principles? Is it something that you feel that changes your behavior anymore? And to what extent, right? Okay, so guilt. Why do you have to feel guilt? What is that for, right? What does guilt do for you? Does it change your overall behavior? Can you ever say honestly in your life that you have felt guilty about something? And we're not saying how you make it right. Okay, get back on my back. Get on my back. Hey, there we go. So, can you say that it's actually improved your life? And we're not saying that you haven't grown and learned from it. But when has guilt beyond a certain point been helpful? I can tell you, as someone that's felt guilt, again, about my friend for, what has it been? 20 some odd years, right? What is that guilt that I feel all the time over something like that? What does that do for me? Nothing. Okay? It just stresses me out. It just makes me feel like total crap. And just like this thing is total crap. But, guilt doesn't serve any societal function except for to try to, change behavior, massage people's behavior a certain way. Ooh, nice. Very nice. So, guilt usually has been associated with things like religion over the years, over thousands of years, to control behavior a little bit. And again, we're not getting anything controversial here, don't worry. But it is something that has been very effective. That's why we all know that Jewish grandmother kind of stereotype. Well, it's okay, you don't have to call me that passive-aggressive thing. It's very effective because we feel compassion about things that we've done that might be wrong, okay? And that's normal. But what does guilt serve? The actual thing that you sit there in bed and you're staring at the ceiling going, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that today. I feel so guilty for telling that guy at the Burger King that he was, in my way and he should get the F out of my way. I feel guilty. What does that do? What does that do for you? You can't go find that guy and tell him you're sorry. So you feel guilty about something that you can't correct. All right? Okay. So let's get to embarrassment. Does embarrassment need to exist? Give me this. Does embarrassment need to exist? And before you answer, I want you to think about all the times that you've been embarrassed. Does that do anything? I want you to think about all the times that you've been embarrassed in your life. Of course, you can't remember all of them. But right now, close your eyes real quick and picture that one time, if you can, any time, that you were horribly, horribly embarrassed. I mean, just like, oh my God, I don't want to show my face for a long time. If this hasn't happened to you, congratulations. It'll probably happen at some point. Don't worry, relax. But I want you to think about that real quick. And I want you to think about why you felt embarrassed. What about that situation made you feel embarrassed? Was it that something was revealed about your body? Like, you've got a scar down the side of your back or something. Or you think that you're overweight, right? Or you think that you're ugly or something like that. And someone sees you without your makeup on or whatever it is that you feel that embarrassment for. Right? Again, we're going to ask the same question. What does that do for you? What does that serve in terms of a purpose past anything outside the situation? Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But why? You're beating yourself up over something. Again, those who matter don't mind. Those who mind don't matter. So if something happens that you're like, oh my God, like you're at prom or something, and you realize that I don't know, you got a piece of toilet paper stuck to your shoe the whole time that you're dancing, like let's say you're the king or queen or whatever of the prom, and the whole time you got a piece of toilet paper stuck to your shoe, and everybody's laughing, and there's a thing in the yearbook about it. Why are you letting that be something that you're embarrassed about? Why not embrace that? Why not say, okay, you know what? That's pretty funny. Okay, I had a piece of toilet paper stuck to my shoe. Oh, geez. Wow. But things that you feel embarrassed about, why do you feel embarrassed? Are they earth-shatteringly bad things? No, or else it wouldn't be embarrassment. It would be something else, right? Okay. So, these three concepts, guilt, shame, embarrassment, do not need to exist in our modern society. Because I think that we kind of guide ourselves now. The whole society that we have is sort of self-regulated. Now, sometimes, just sometimes, it gets a little out of control with like cancel culture and things like that. You say one thing wrong and suddenly the whole world is trying to beat you up psychically, right? Well, I think though, especially because of the internet, a lot of those things, guilt, shame, embarrassment, they don't need to exist anymore because, you can be anonymous if you want to be anonymous. You can be out there and say whatever you want to say, okay? It all comes down to how you accept yourself, how you look at yourself, what you're willing to do and not willing to do in order to make yourself feel better. So just think about that for a little bit. After this video's over, just think about it for a little bit. Do we really need guilt? Do we really need shame? Do we really need embarrassment? Is that something that you could clear out of your life if you really thought about it real hard? I don't know. I think it would be a lot harder than we think it would be. But try every day to kind of expand your boundaries. Stop worrying about what you're going to be embarrassed about. Stop being ashamed for things that you think people aren't going to accept about you. I have all these mental conditions. I used to be ashamed, but now doing stuff like this, I open up. I'm not feeling so ashamed about it. And maybe you can push your boundaries too a little bit. A little bit of nudge from me, your old pal Orpheus. We'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, be good, do good, and you know what? Treat yourself well because you deserve it. All right, see you again in the next one. Bye!